Ayy, look, ayy. I'm in the lab like Dexter, brand new batch he tested. I'm with all the extras, don't try and bitch, I'm pressure. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers.
Saquon Barkley and his contract situation with the New York Giants. July 17th was the deadline for the New York Giants to come to an agreement with Saquon Barkley on a new contract, aside from that franchise tag that they gave him at the start of NFL free agency. And unfortunately, they weren't able to come to terms on a new deal. And so with Saquon Barkley now questioning whether or not he wants to suit up for the New York Giants in week 1, how much will this hurt the New York Giants going into this upcoming season?
Well, I feel like I'm gonna start off by saying, like, we gotta address the elephant in the room. Like, there's everybody's posted it the same exact thing about the last time a Pro Bowler running back won the Super Bowl was, I believe, Marshawn Lynch, and before that was when last time an All Pro running back won the Super Bowl was like 1980s or 1990s or something like that. So it is the elephant in the room. Like, I get it, running backs do want to get paid, but there is a reason why these Super Bowl teams don't necessarily pay these running backs that much. I mean, like, Zeke is a classic example of this. You know, he got his big contract, and they literally found a replacement for him in the 4th round in Tony Pollard. And then you have the Le'Veon Bell situation. You have the Todd Gurley situation. And it's just like paying running backs it's an issue in 2023. Like, I feel like the running back position, like, you got to be a versatile pass catcher, and even then, there's a certain amount of money allocated to that position. I feel like I'd rather pay a cornerback, I'd rather play a wide receiver, of course, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, basically a lot of other positions than the running back. But, you know, talking about Saquon Barkley, we obviously know this guy's extremely talented as a running back. Out worse, he's top 7 running back in this league. He's a big part of what the Giants were doing offensively last season, and if he's out, I'm just confused who's going to be his replacement. You know, are you going to put Matt Breida there? Like, seriously? Like, it's 2023. Like, what is the offense? Like, they don't even have wide receivers like that for this team to be able to be productive offensively. Is Daniel Jones going to rush for everything? Is that really a viable solution? It's just not going to work. It's like, I feel like he's a big part of their offense, but at the same time, from the Giants' perspective, I understand. Like, they're not trying to pay a running back that much money. They're like thinking about it. Okay, do we really want to pay a running back like this? But at the same time, it is kind of key to their success this season. If they want to make it, they want to take steps to success this season, they got to pay Saquon Barkley. But, you know, I totally understand what the Giants are doing. It's an unfortunate situation for Saquon Barkley, but, you know, I do kind of lean towards the Giants' way about not paying Saquon Barkley. It is a statement not paying one of your best players, but at the same time, it is the reality of running backs in the modern day NFL. Like, it's just hard to pay them because, you know, you can get a replacement for them in the 4th round. You can find some random guy like Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round. You know, so I just feel like I understand where the Giants are coming from, but if they don't pay Saquon Barkley, it's going to be a tough situation for them this season. I don't think they're going to be much productive offensively.
No, you look in the past, you bring up what's his face, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, he got paid big. He was partying all off season during the season, and the Jets paid him big money. He came back looking like a 2-piece of ass. And same as what's his face, who got paid last year? Zeke a couple years ago. Got paid, got big, and he looked like a 2-piece of ass. Like, he forgot how to run the ball, he forgot how to cut, he forgot how to hit. And I understand, you know, the running back market is tough. Paying running back 16, 17 mil. They only have a span of what? 3 to 5 years in the NFL at most. And that's the average. Not even the average is like 2.5, 3 years. And running backs, they take the most toll in the NFL for them. So for them, the rarity of them getting a second contract and getting paid big money like that, it's very rare. So, but at the same time, it's like, we know what type of production the Giants are going to bring without Saquon, especially the type of system that they have, type of offense that they have. It works with Saquon perfectly. You know, Daniel Jones doesn't do what he does last year. Daniel Jones doesn't get paid without Saquon being in that backfield last year. So for them, it's going to be taking a step back. And Saquon's one of those backs that you can say, dude, he's not irreplaceable. It's tough to find a replacement for Saquon, regardless of who you get. You got Matt Breida. You got I forgot the other guy they have as a backup. Big old, I think his last name's like Robinson or something. Other than that, they didn't draft a running back this year. So going into the season, 32-year-old Matt Breida, that's your starting running back. And it's kind of disrespectful to Saquon to say that, hey, we don't need you. We're not going to pay you what you're valued at. And we're going to go ahead and finish our season off with Matt Breida. So For him, I feel like, he got to sit out, stay healthy, just work out in the offseason and in season, and come back and get paid next year. Some team's going to pay him. I don't think every team in the NFL is going to be like, oh, we're not going to pay Saquon what he wants. He's going to get that 14 to 15 mil per year. And I think that he performs. So, big loss on the Giants. I understand why they're doing it, but not in their situation, it's not right. The type of system, type of offense that they have, they should pay Saquon.
Exactly what you said was going to lead to my point. It doesn't make it absolutely makes zero sense for the New York Giants to be pulling this stunt on their best player, Saquon Barkley. Like, I understand if their passing attack was one of the best passing attacks in the NFL, and obviously their running back success was pretty good on the ground, but they're more known as a passing team. This team is not known as a passing team at all. They were a top 5 rushing team last year, averaging about 148 yards on the ground. And to put that into perspective, they had a better rushing attack than the Philadelphia Eagles last year. And we all thought those guys were pretty much invincible with their elite offensive line and their elite run game. And so their passing offense, they were a bottom 10 passing offense last year. They only averaged 185 passing yards per game last year. And so obviously their offensive game plan is pretty simple. Let's run the ball as much as possible. Let's play some great defense. And let's get out of here with some wins. So it absolutely makes no sense for the New York Giants to play hardball with their best player and their best asset when he's literally the focal point of their offense. And going into this upcoming season, they have the 5th hardest schedule according to Pro Football Focus, and they're only projected 8.7 wins. And so that's with Saquon Barkley suiting up for game 1, week 1 of the NFL season. If Saquon Barkley doesn't suit up for these guys, 8.7 wins goes down to maybe 6-5, maybe. And so it's absolutely confusing why the Giants are doing this. And I would understand if it was maybe another running back that they had that probably wasn't, in the top 5 category. Because as of right now, Saquon Barkley is a top 5 running back, however you like to cut the cake and however you want to place him within that top 5. But he's a top 5 running back. And if you have a top 5 running back on your roster, you pay your top 5 running back. It doesn't matter what he's going to do in the next 2 to 3 years from now. If that contract's going to look so bad and you might have to end up cutting him, pretty similar to what the Cowboys did with Zeke, that's something that you're going to have to live with, because without him, you don't have a team. You don't have your offense. And although the Dallas Cowboys were able to survive without Zeke, they ended up drafting Tony Pollard. They ended up having one of the best offenses in the league as well. Their offense is doing pretty well. They ended up letting go of Zeke, and I think they'll be just fine. The New York Giants running back room right now, outside of Saquon Barkley, as you guys mentioned, number 1 being Matt Breida, number 2 Eric Gray, and number 3 Gary Brightwell. Two out of those 3 guys we don't even know. And Matt Breida, we've never seen him in a running back 1 role. And if we have, it hasn't been anything great. Because if he were great, he'd be playing somewhere as a running back 1 right now. But that's just not the case. He's a decent running back. He's a decent backup in this day in the NFL. And so for the New York Giants, as of right now, to not be paying Saquon Barkley is a stupid mistake that they might regret. And I think Saquon Barkley, eventually he'll come back at some point in the season. And he even said it himself. His leverage I think he has on the New York Giants is pretty simple. It's just, I'm going to say fuck them, and I'm not going to suit up for them at all. I'm going to watch these guys go to war without me, and let's see how they do without me. That's his leverage, and I completely understand that. And so, I guess what I want to lead to next is, 5-10 years from now, are we going to be seeing any talented running backs at that position? Are we going to see any talented running backs coming out of college that are going to be leading the way, are going to be top players in the league? Because, obviously we have CMC now, we have Derrick Henry, we have Saquon Barkley, we have Jonathan Taylor. 5 to 10 years from now, are we going to have anybody at that position to represent the running backs?
I think like this kind of leads into a separate point, but I feel like there's going to be obviously I feel like there's going to be a players association meeting at some point within the near future, discussing about the running back pay. My solution for this whole running back situation thing, I think that they should front load contracts. I feel like if they should give the most money for the contract in the beginning of its life, within the first 2 years, if they're on for example, a rookie contract, I think the majority of that money should go in the first couple of years, and then proceed from that point on. And if it's a second contract, same exact thing, so that these teams aren't exactly capped into paying these guys out for quite a while, for 4 years or 3 years or whatever it may be. But ultimately, to answer your question, I do think all these guys coming up, running back is the most coveted position for the kids growing up, coming from whatever the little leagues all the way up. I think that regardless, they're going to end up paying. They're going to play this position. It's what's going to happen. I think running backs are going to be a little bit more versatile. Like you're going to see guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. A lot of other talented running backs will come down the line. I don't think the running back position. Well, I do think that at some point we're going to see the end of a bell cow running backs. I think guys like Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, we're going to see the end of that type of profile. We're going to see a lot more CMC type of guys, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, these type of running backs. Of course, you're going to have your mixture of here, the power running backs like Jonathan Taylor, who can also catch, and Bijan Robinson. But you're going to see a lot more running backs that are able to do a combination of both, which is still, I think that kind of is required in the NFL. Your running back has to be able to catch, unless you're just a supremely talented runner like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. So,
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like this problem is going to be going on for a while. Even if they, come up, get together, still feel like you can't go against the NFL ownership. Like they, once they set something in stone, it's like, hey, we're going to go with this. 30 owners, we agreed to this. Just keep it like that. We don't want to pay no running backs more than 12 mil. Just keep it at that. They think they don't deserve it, and that's how it is. In recent, history, you see problems with running backs getting paid, and they look at it like, hey, Le'Veon Bell took $90 million at 400 rush yards, and this guy Zeke just fell off a cliff after getting paid $93 million. It's like, hey, why pay these guys this bunch of money when their life expense, like game expectancy, is gonna fall off after 1 to 2 years, and you got them under contract for that much of money. So, I mean, it's tough. I mean, for it to go, I feel like they gotta, like I'd be said, fix up the early contracts, the early years when they immediately come into the NFL. And the rookie deal that they come in on, a lot of running backs don't get paid unless you're like a top, first round pick. A lot of these running backs come out third round, fourth round. There's some gems. They ball out, hoop, and once they get to that fourth, fifth year, they start getting low balled. And it's like, oh, they didn't get paid their first 4 years. Now the fifth year's coming up, and they're getting low balled because they're third and fourth round pick, but they're performing, and it's tough. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but I hope Saquon gets paid.
I mean, the way that I'm thinking about this whole situation is if this position, keeps on getting neglected, if, owners and general managers continue to believe that they don't need to pay their running back top dollar, I don't believe that, there's going to be a lot more skilled players in that position. There might be some decent players, but a lot of other players that are coming up that are looking to make it to the NFL, they might just play a different position that pays a lot more. They might be talented in other positions other than the running back position. But for me, I think my solution would be something that our RG3 mentioned a couple of days ago on Twitter. And he said something along the lines of removing both franchise tags, the non-exclusive franchise tag and the exclusive franchise tag. That's one for all players. And then number two would be to minimize, not minimize, but take away the fourth year for running backs and only give running backs 3 years coming out of the NFL draft. So if they get drafted, they only get 3 years, and then they get to hit free agency. And his goal pretty much was these running backs should be able to hit free agency as quickly as possible. And it shouldn't even just be the NFL running backs. It's everybody in any position. These guys should be able to capitalize on their skill set early instead of having to wait in year 4 or year 5, because the running backs get 4-year contracts. And he said, if a running back is good, they'll play him out for those 4 years. If he's great, they'll keep him around, franchise tag him, keep him around for that 5th year. And once they're going into that 6th year, now they have a decision to make. Now the running back that they had as a gem 2-3 years ago has a lot more mileage on him, and he was a lot cheaper back then, maybe getting paid $1 to $2 million. And now he's probably asking for about a $10 million, $11 million raise. And so I think RG3 was making a whole lot of sense when he said, it's better for these guys to kind of just jump into free agency as quickly as possible, because as we all know, the running back lifespan is about, obviously 4 to 6 years, we would say, but people's primes are probably about 2-3 years max. And so unless you're really, really good, then you probably stick around a little bit longer. But even then, the franchise is going to start questioning whether or not you're going to be able to produce at a high level, whether or not you're worth the money that they gave you 3-4 years ago. And we see each and every year, a couple of running backs have taken pay cuts because they want to stick around with the current franchise that they're on, the situation that they're in. And, obviously, if they feel like they're going to stick with what they're worth, they're not going to stick around for much longer. I mean, we saw my running back Devin Cook get cut in free agency because he didn't want to, take a pay cut with us, and we just didn't see him as a, viable option in our offense in comparison to the money that he was getting paid. You know, so it just wasn't adding up. And so obviously this is something that's going to take a long time to get changed, because, you know, it's going to take for the next, you know, CBA agreement. It's going to be in 7 years. And so, you know, and NFL players can't necessarily go on strike, but it's because obviously not everybody in the NFL is making an X amount of money like Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. So a lot of people, you know, need to be out there and suited up. And so it's going to take some time, but I don't know, man. The running back position is a scary position, man. And, you know, if for these guys, the New York Giants, to be doing this to Saquon, it's only going to set, you know, a precedent for the rest of the league. You know, a lot of these guys are going to take this blueprint from the New York Giants and apply it everywhere else to a lot of their top guys. And now what happens to guys like Jonathan Taylor that come after him? What happens to guys like Najee Harris? I mean, we're already seeing it.
Etienne, Brees Hall,
like
the list goes on.
We got a lot of talented running backs in the league right now that are looking to get paid real soon. And obviously with Saquon being the guy that's on the front lines losing all his money, every GM is going to follow that. And alongside Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs is another guy that's looking for his money too. And so, you know, it's just tough right now in the running back market. And so I think eventually the New York Giants, I'm not too confident that they're going to come to an agreement with Saquon Barkley, but sooner rather than later, because if they go into week 1 with Saquon Barkley on the sidelines or at home just chilling watching this New York Giants team, it's going to be a tough sledding, especially knowing that they have the 5th hardest schedule in all of football.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lakes, now that's overkill.